Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Decryption and I hope you are well. Every time you use Unreal, you're always going to learn something new. Something from somebody else, you'll see it online. There's always hidden tricks that's been added into Unreal, workflows, for the many thousands of developers that's contributed to Unreal. Now, I'm not going to be able to cover all of these because I don't think any one person knows them all. But I figured we could go through some really easy tips to help make you a better game dev. Some tips and tricks to help your workflow smoother, help you do things quicker, good practices, just little bits like that. So let's get started. These aren't in any specific order, it's just I compiled a list and I just kept adding to it. They're not any ranking, anything like that. So let's jump straight in with number 10. One of the most common things you will want to learn in your game. If you're using Blueprints, you have to use it at some point, but this equally applies to C++, but we'll cover that another day, is breakpointing. So I've got my demo map here, and for example, something's not working, breakpointing lets you run the code node by node to figure out exactly what's going off with it. So you can find all the issues without having to print stuff out all the time. So if I open up my race controller here, for example, I've got this event here called start race, which literally comes in, increases our countdown time, sets it, and runs a timer. Then this timer calls race countdown, which does all of this logic here. Breakpointing, you can click on any node that you can go to. So say I'll click this set here and press the F9 key. And you can press the F9 to remove it as well. You can also right click and you can do toggle breakpoint, remove breakpoint, disable breakpoint. Disable just means it won't be hit until you enable it again. Useful if you're debugging something often. And then all you do is play your game. So if I run up and choose to start this race, so I'll just click my race controller and click start, you'll see the code is now frozen. There is a bug sometimes in Unreal where it'll just play like this and you won't be able to do anything. Just press Shift F1 and go to the part that you've breakpointed like that. And you can see these moving dots are showing you where Unreal is executing currently. So it's coming from this event to this set here. And it's telling us what's happening, and we can look around this and basically probe it, like you see electricians do with the fancy probe things, the multimeters. So you can see race countdown time is being set here. I can hover over it. It'll tell me the race countdown time is 3. Okay, perfect. So I can now hover over this bit here. I can see, okay, this plus has made it 4, which is pretty standard. We can understand that. It's coming in here. It's setting this to 4. If I press F10 to move to the next node, you've got your buttons up here, look. You've got F10 to go to the next node. You've got F11, which will go into the node. So that's very useful if you've got a function or you need to see what Unreal's doing. You press F11, it'll go into it. So it'll take me to see what set is doing or what set timer is doing in the background of Unreal. And then you've got some other ones which I don't particularly use that often. So I'm going to say I want to know what this time is doing. So I'm going to come to my race countdown. I'm just going to click here. I'll press F9 to add a breakpoint. And I'm just going to click play to skip over it. And it'll jump on. And now it's breakpointed again because we're on a timer of every second, so it's hit here. It will freeze the code when it's running a breakpoint. AI won't run, the thread won't run, nothing's going to run, it's all froze. Your music, I believe, will also just freeze in place as well. So we can now come in and we can see the current countdown time is 4. So I'm minusing off it. You can see I can't see the result of it yet because I've not hit that portion of the code. I can't come and see what the result of this timer is or anything like this. I need to get to that point in order to debug it. So I'll just press F10. I can now hover over this and see that the result is 3. So it has indeed took it down. It's going to print something out, which if we just jump back to here, will eventually show up there. And then I can now hover over this and say, is the current countdown less than 0? False. Okay, so it's not going to do anything. So I'm saying I want to know when it gets to this bit. So I'll press F9 there. I'll come back across to here and press F9, click play, and then wait for it to say go, and now it's breakpointed again. And I can come in and I can see exactly everything it's doing. So I want to see what this race's start running is doing. I don't know what it does. Well, I do, I made it. But still, I can press the F11 key to jump into it. You can see it's took me into this function. So I can see it says go, go, go. I can come in and see what races it has. So I've got 2 races. I've got my amazingly named NPCs of NPC1 and NPC2. And then I can come in, I can see it's setting a local variable. And then I can see it's coming to starting patrol point, it's setting the actor. I can also come in here. I could press F11 to jump into this as well, to see what this is doing, but at this point, I don't really need to know because I know what it's doing. I can just click play, and you can see it's all working. So breakpoints are a fantastic way of debugging your code, and if you learn to use it and add it to your development tools, you don't need to add thousands of print statements, printing out all your values, and go from there. So in number 9, no specific order, commonly used filters can actually be ticked to give you easy access to things you need to see often. So say you often need to just go into a folder, say my assets, and you say you want to find all the characters. You could search for character, and I've searched for character, and that's giving me a bunch of stuff, but it's also giving me some physics assets because they also contain character. And it's giving me stuff I don't want. What if I want specific skeletal meshes? Well, you can come up to the filters here, and you can click on whatever you want. So if I come to skeletal mesh, I can tick skeletal mesh like so, and it will filter by skeletal meshes. But one thing you can do to add them down here is you can actually come and tick them here. And what that will do is add it to your list of commonly used things down here. So meaning next time you need to find a skeletal mesh, you can just come and tick it, just like that. You can also tick multiple if you want to search for multiple things, like so. So I'll often use this specifically for the character, like I said. In Cinti, sometimes they name it char, sometimes they name it CHR, sometimes they name it character. So I know it's most likely going to be a blueprint class, so I can search for that. And now I've got all the blueprint classes in that entire thing. You can also do it at content level and get a list of every single blueprint containing the word character, or in my case, char. It's really, really nice to have all of these options down here for you, what you commonly use, to just come and tick. And then you find exactly what you want. So I've searched for fire as a cascade particle system, and I've found all the fires. Really, really useful. So in number 8, which is something you see quite often with new Unreal developers or non-programmers, and it's redirectors in Unreal. Redirectors are something Unreal does. I don't know why specifically, maybe it's quicker, but if I come in and take an asset that's being used and referenced by other things, and I move it, I rename it, I do something like that, so I'm going to move it into here, you will see it creates this redirector here. You might say, oh, I've moved things before, it's never done it. There could be 2 reasons to that. It could be it's not referenced anywhere, so it doesn't need to redirect itself somewhere, or you haven't got show redirectors turned on. So in the previous point, I showed you these quick filters. One of the ones I always recommend people to just have on permanently is show redirectors, which I believe is in other filters, show redirectors. And you'll be surprised how many plugins you download off the marketplace that all have redirectors covered everywhere. And a redirector basically tells everything, if you want this NPC at this location, you have to go to this location. And if you move it, it has to jump through all of these hoops to find the asset you want. It might be mega quick, but it makes it really complicated to find what you need, and you're always looking in the wrong place. Because everything that's referenced in this will be looking right here. Meaning you've got to go here, then figure out, oh no, it's not there. Then you've got to go here and figure out, oh no, it's not there. It's also a nightmare for source control, because if somebody moves something and they haven't got the right redirectors, it just messes up. So if you move something and you have a redirector, right click, update. That's all you need to do, just update it. I believe in 5.3 it was called fix redirectors, but it's something like that. And you'll often get this, do you want to delete the redirector? Yes, you do, because you've fixed it. Don't just delete the redirectors and don't fix it, because then everything will break because it doesn't know where it's going. So now my NPC is in here. If I take my NPC here and move them back to the NPCs folder, you will see it will create a redirector. Simply right click, update redirector references, and click delete. That's it. So many plugins I use come with redirectors covered in it that they never notice. And just clean them up. It makes for such a nicer environment. And if you've got thousands upon thousands of redirectors, you're going to see a few small performance gains in the editor. It won't necessarily affect the game because it's all compiled down in the end, but you will believe it speeds it up. But logically, if it's having to bounce between files to files to files to see new files, it's going to take a performance hit eventually instead of just going to the file. You'll see if I come into my entire redirectors, I've got a bunch here, and some of them are from Unreal themselves that they've not cleaned up. So you can see it definitely needs to be done, but it makes for such a cleaning work environment. So number 7 is sometimes breakpointing, like we covered in tip 10, is very, very useful, but other times it's just too much. So if you've got something that rapidly goes, or you're debugging AI, for example, breakpointing on every single decision they make, it can get very tedious. But what you can do in order to stop this, if you've got something running often, is you can actually add a key to the print statement to group them together. So if I come in here and add an event tick like so, and we'll just grab it and we'll just print out the current delta seconds. Say I need to know what that is for some mathematical function. You'll see my print statements are being spammed over and over and over again. I can't see what that is saying because it's saying it too fast, but that's okay. What if I've got multiple things I'm printing out? Like I want to print out the delta seconds, their current destination they want to get to, how fast they're moving. I'm not going to be able to make sense of that at all. So what you can do is if you drop down this print string here, you have a bunch of different settings you can set for it. So this key is how you group them together. So if I come in here and set it to delta seconds, and then every other print string I want to do the same thing, set the same key, or in this case, just set it on this one that's reused here. Even though the duration is 2 seconds, when I play it, you will only ever see one appear, but it will constantly update its value like so. Meaning I'm not getting spammed anymore, I can just see that one value. We can even take it one step further. If I drag this print string out, hold Alt to unbreak it there, add an append into it, I can now add a label to it. So if I drop that at the bottom there, and go delta seconds, colon, I can now remove it from the compile, go back to the game, and you'll see it will tell me next to the print exactly what I'm looking at. So if you've got a bunch of stats you need to track, the key is absolutely useful on the print statements. So number 6 is a tip that I do often share with people in my tutorials, but it's just one of them that really, really helps. If you've got something in the editor anywhere you want to copy, you can copy and paste it really easily by holding the Shift, right click to copy, and then Shift, left click to paste. And you'll see it'll flash up as it does it. It'd be nice if it said copied, pasted, but it doesn't. So say I want to take this character here, and I'm moving him over here, but I want them to be in the same position. Don't ask me why, you often copy and paste things, you get the point. So I'm going to come to this character here, I'm going to Shift, right click on the location, click on him, Shift, left click to paste, like so. And it goes just like that. But the benefit of this is you can copy large things if Unreal lets you do it. So if I come into my narrative dialogues here, just for example, which is a plugin I use to handle dialogue. So I have an array here called events with a bunch of different structures in it, which have a bunch of different categories in it and all sorts. I can copy all of these events by Shift, right clicking to copy, come over to this one, Shift, left click to paste. I can also do it on any single one. So if I want to come in here and just copy number 1, I can come and add an array element here and paste it just like that. It's really, really nice to copy a bunch of different things around Unreal, to copy huge sections of code or animations or anything you need. This one's a fairly commonly known one, but not everybody knows it, so I figured I'd include it. You see a lot of people just come down and click the content drawer like that. Or they'll be in here and they'll come down and they'll click content drawer. You don't need to, you can just press Control or Command Space like that. Anywhere you are, no matter at any point, just press Control Space, it will always open the content drawer. Even if you've got a popped out window like so, press Control Space, it will pop up. It's just a nice little shortcut to always show the content drawer wherever you are. If you've got it pinned, I believe it will set it on top of it. So if I dock this here and press Control Space, yeah, it's a quick content drawer like that. It's really nice and it's dead simple to use, which is a very good one I often pass to people, is if you're in the middle of here and you're like, I need to find where this blueprint is. So you'll see people, they'll go to their content drawer, they'll go to content, they might start searching for it, or they might go, I think it's in here and here and here, and in the end they'll probably come back, they'll search for it. Really simply, just press Control or Command B for blueprint. It'll instantly load a content browser up and show you where the exact thing you're in exists. So if I come and I open up this patrol path here, for example, I press Control B in here and it will take me directly to it. It's so nice to know this shortcut. So then I can come and say, this over here, what's this? This is Ultra Dynamic Sky, so let's click that. Oh, where does that exist? Control B. Boom. And I know exactly where it is. It doesn't work for everything. If I click this plane here, press Control B, it takes me to it, that's fine. If I click this player start here, press Ctrl B. It won't do anything because that's a C++ thing, so it won't take you to that. But for blueprint-based stuff, Ctrl B takes you instantly to it. It's so good. The next one I want to show you is one that I see quite nicely. If you need to find something that you can't specifically click on, maybe it's an asset you know what it's called, but you don't want to press Ctrl B to search for it, you're having access to it. So for example here, I want to get my MPC. How can I get it? I can press Ctrl space like in the previous one. I can come up to the content drawer, I can search for BP-MPC, that's fine. I could try to add a reference here and then try to search for it, that's another way. But one thing I really like is the quick search functionality. And all it is Command or Control P for Puppeteer, or Paprika, or Pirate, or Paint, or Portfolio, or Pinocchio. You know, P. Press Control P. And you get this open asset functionality here. It's got some quick filters on that I've saved from the previous tutorial. You can see it adds it into here. But you can search for anything in your game now, any asset in your project. So I'll search for BP MPC. And boom, I've got my MPC. I can now double click this to open that MPC, and I've not had to leave my window at all. It's really, really nice. It works. It just speeds up your environment. So here's another common one that I see quite often, is maybe you've got a really complex character. So let's say we'll go to my basic character, but we'll claim it's complex, like so. So I've got all the different things here, all my different keys for a bunch of stuff. If you imagine a big game where you'll have all your attacks, all your character's options, you've got your driving options, you've got your combat, your flight, your menus, all things in here, it's going to be absolutely huge. And yes, this is infinite. You can wrap this in a massive comment saying gameplay, wrap this one driving, flight. You could do it. But there's only so much you can scroll out, so eventually it's going to be too big for you to even scroll out enough. So what Unreal allows you to do is to create other event graphs down here. So you can see I've already got 2 for event graph and combat. So I can go into the event graph and I've got all this stuff here. If I go into combat, you can see I've got extra stuff in here. It makes 0 difference to the code because all of these are treated as a single graph anyway. So it's not like you have to reference the specific combat one, but it makes your code so much cleaner that you can just come in to different events, different graphs, and see exactly what it is. So like on this one, I could probably move this section here to a new graph. So I'm just going to grab it all, Control X to cut, make a new graph, and call it jail system. And I'm going to paste it in, like so. Everything still works. I can still compile, save. All my code will still work, but it's nice and organized, and it looks a lot neater. So in the final one is I want to discuss something that everybody uses, but I just want you to stop and appreciate it for a moment, just how easy it can make your life to do things. And it's this one here, the MyBlueprint panel. Now there's 2 versions of it. There's the MyBlueprint one in a blueprint, and then there's the MyBlueprint in a widget blueprint, I guess. They're basically the same thing, but all it does is it gives you an outline of everything that exists within your blueprint code-wise. So I can come in and I can see all of the graphs we've just created, and I can expand it and see all of the events they contain. I can come down to the functions, and I can see all of the functions that my blueprint contains, all in here. I can see my interfaces, and it's even categorized. I can see any macros I create, any variables, they're all here for you to quickly find. You can also search this, so I can come in and say, show me anything to do with jail. So there's all my jail stuff. You can also add stuff directly in here if you really want to. Most people just use these, me included. But you can. It's just really, really nice to have this one here, and just to know that if at any point you need to find something, just go to my blueprint. Same with the widgets here. If I'm in the middle of coding going, oh, what's that thing called again, that widget? I can just come into the variables and see my widgets here. So I need the interaction widget. I can drag it out and choose get. And that works for both the widget and the blueprint one. If I see something like the player's HUD, I can just drag it out and do get or set. Just like that. It's a really nice panel that I do every so often see beginner users going down, looking around all their code going, oh, where did I put that function again? They're choosing different tabs. Just go to here. Just find it straight away. You've got everything you need. You can double click to jump to it if you need to. If it's a function, I can double click and it'll take me directly to the function. So there are my first top 10 tips, ladies and gentlemen. What do you think? Have you learnt anything? Let me know below. There are thousands of tips we can add to it, so if you've got any of your own tips, let me know below and we'll build up a nice series collection of tips that everybody can benefit from. Thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Decryption and I will see you next time.